Welcome back, everybody. It's time to take a look at the syllabus for this course. As you know, the syllabus is a contract between the school and the student in which we say, here's what we expect from you, and when you do that, you'll get the following grades based on whatever it is you're trying to get to. So let's take a look at the syllabus, and I want you to understand that this is a kind of a final product, but if you have any real issues with it or any questions, just send me an email and I'll talk to you via email, and we'll see if we can come up with either a change or some reason to understand why it is the way it is. Okay, so the first thing we want to look at is that this is a non-sync online class. In other words, it doesn't require that you be online at any specific time. We're not all going to be on at the same time doing the same things, but there are certain dates and times in which you must do certain things. In other words, your assignments will have dates and times assigned to them. Everything will be done on Canvas and with some supplemental email required if you have any questions. My name's Jack Harper, and this is my email right here. You should use this email only to contact me. Don't try to use any other email, and don't try to contact me through telephones at the school. I will not be on campus, as you should not be as well. So, the required text, the good news for that is we're using a workbook called English 221 Critical Thinking Handbook. You will download it from Canvas. You will not have to pay for this. We're trying to get to the point where we're not overloading our budgets on books and trying to break everybody's bank by buying books. So we're giving you all the information you need. There will be several additional resources, as you see here, this semester that we'll take advantage of, but they will all be online available, either websites or through our Los Medanos library online. And if you don't know how to do that, please send me a note and I'll be glad to work with you on that. Okay, so what do a TV commercial, a case made by a lawyer in a courtroom, a sales pitch made by an ad agency to a client, a protest calling for federal gun laws, or President Trump's relentless pursuit of a southern border wall, and some article you had to read in English 100 all have to do in common. The thing they have in common is that they're all based on arguments. Someone is trying to persuade you. Someone is using some kind of logic, some kind of appeal to your emotion, some kind of reasoning that will get you to go along with what they're saying, and that's an argument. You can argue back, by the way, and we'll talk about that later on in the course. But these arguments that we're talking about aren't the kind of arguments you're going to have over the holiday table with Uncle Grumpy. They're going to be more like arguments where one presents one side and supports that with evidence, the other presents the other side and supports that with evidence, and you're supposed to use your logic or your cognitive skills to come up with a decision on that. You agree with it, you don't agree with it, and here's what you think could be changed about something. So, working on logic, working on arguments that are based on fact requires critical thinking. Critical thinking means that you don't just buy things on their surface. You have to ask questions. You have to say, why should I believe that? Is there any evidence that would help me understand that? Should I believe it? This is what this course is all about. So, your learning objectives will be to, 1, read and think critically, analyze arguments to identify logic and rhetorical features, and then evaluate those arguments for their strengths and weaknesses. 2, you'll be writing argument essays. You'll be writing 3 major essays. They'll be formal, typed, thesis-driven argument essays that you're going to write at home, and they'll total about 25 pages of writing in standard MLA double-space format. The first one will be kind of the step into the water and get your feet wet. It's going to be 5 to 7 pages. The second essay about 6 to 8 pages, and the final is going to be the big one. That'll be 7 to 10 pages. When I say 7 to 10 pages, I mean without counting the works cited page at the end. That's 7 to 10 pages of your text. That doesn't mean 6 pages and 2 lines on the 7th page. That means at least 7 pages. Okay, so I'm going to read and comment on all your final drafts, and I will grade all your final drafts. I will also guarantee you that I will at least read and comment on one of your first draft essays so that you'll get a hang for what I'm looking for. You'll get notes back that'll say, here's what would make this a better essay, or here's some things that you might also want to think about. That's going to help you learn. You learn by doing, and you learn by doing with somebody who's going to guide you along the path. So it's going to be obvious to you that, of course, the first essay is not going to be as hard, the second a little bit tougher, and the third one's where you're going to take all the things that you learned through this semester and apply them to a really great essay. Okay, so the method of grading is going to be very simple. You're going to demonstrate that you've got the skills that we're looking for you to get, and you'll get the understanding of what that means throughout this syllabus. So a C grade in English 221 means you're ready or kind of ready to transfer to upper division courses at a four-year institution, or if you don't get a C grade, that means you're not quite ready to do the transfer on that. So you might need to do some soul searching on that. The grade breakdown for this course is going to be spread out over several different items. The first one is your first, second, and third essays, and you can see that the points get higher over here because those points indicate a little bit tougher work, a little bit more is expected from you. There will be a final exam, and you'll know exactly going into the final exam what the questions will be. You will have to do some writing in your final exam, but not a whole lot. It's just looking to see if you know how to structure an argument and how to use your analytical skills. Then you'll have, getting an awful lot of email here, aren't I? Then you'll have a few other things that we're going to be grading. We have discussions that will go on throughout the semester. And those discussions on Canvas, I'm sure you've used them before. If not, they're pretty intuitive. I will come up with the subject of the discussion, what you're supposed to be talking about and what you're supposed to be arguing, and you'll come in with your points of view, and then I'm going to ask you to go out and at least evaluate one other student's discussion post every single time. And so that's not going to be a whole lot of your grade. That's only 10% of your grade. There will be rough drafts of every of the 3 essays, and that will total 15% of your grade, or 5% per rough draft. And then we'll have some smaller assignments, quizzes, and things like that, so that I can check your what you're learning and whether you're able to apply the skills that we're trying to give to you along the way, and that'll be another 10% of your grade. And then, of course, in-class participation isn't a real thing since we're not going to be in class, but there will be participation. There will be, I need to get a feel that you're really serious about this class and that you're really trying to learn what we're trying to teach you. So that'll be roughly 2%. It's also my way of kind of bumping you up one grade if you're close, if you're on the line. Okay, so how do you get an A in this course? You get an A by really having gotten all the skills that we're trying to give you. You can identify evidence types or strategies. You can tell me the difference between empirical and or value assumptions. You can tell me that the argument is strong or weak and why it's strong or weak. You can tell me the difference between inductive and deductive reasoning and why. And you just really get it. You're just really able to put this all together in a logical, convincing, well-developed essay. Students that get a C are kind of heading that way, and you're going to know who you are because you're going to get your rough draft back. But more than that, I'm going to give you a rubric for every essay, and that rubric will be how I'm going to grade your essays. And it's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. If you do all the ingredients, you get an A. If you don't do all the great ingredients, you get a lower grade than an A. So you'll know exactly what I'm looking for. If ever you don't understand what I'm looking for, please let me know, okay? All right, so what you want to know about this class. This isn't going to be at all like a lecture class that you might have in the past where you've got a talking head with a black marker in hand walking up to the whiteboard, or giving a presentation on the screen, or talk, and you listen, or maybe you fall asleep, or maybe you text somebody, whatever you do to occupy your time when you're bored. This is going to be all on you. This is going to be where you have to take the initiative. Nobody's going to be looking over your shoulder. Nobody's going to be talking to you and asking you questions and kind of holding your toes to the fire in a classroom environment, because you're not there. It's all up to you. So you need to stay on top of things. For those who've never taken online courses, let me tell you that all of my undergrad, probably 70% of my undergrad was online. And most of my graduate courses in both degrees were online, and one was actually the entire course for 3 years was online, with the exception of what they call low residency. We'd go to the campus 1 week twice a year. So I know pretty much how difficult it can be to stay disciplined, to stay motivated. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that you have enough skills and enough information so that you can go forward without too much concern. But it's going to be something that you're going to have to fight. You're going to have to go forward, get that work done, and don't let it get late. By the way, late will cost you points, so we'll talk about that in a few minutes. The real critical part of online learning for me, for my thinking, is that you have to try to stay ahead of it. And so what I mean by that, if something is due Friday, do everything you can to have it finished and turned in by Thursday. And if you take that attitude and you slip into Friday, it's okay, you're on time. But if you don't take that attitude and you slip into Saturday, guess what? You're going to be losing some grade points. So we don't want that to happen. That's just an unfortunate thing. So I intend to work with you one-on-one as much as possible. I will host an office hour once a week. I will tell you ahead of time when that office hour will be. I know that some of you work, some of you have other time constraints, so you might not be able to make it during that time. And so for those cases, if you have questions, we'll do it through email. Send me your question, tell me what you're trying to do, what kind of a concern that you might have, and I will tell you that within a couple hours you'll have an answer back from me. It's not ideal, it's not like a Zoom face-to-face, but it's the next best thing. For the one-on-one office hours, we'll do Zoom. And that way you can get right there with your questions back and forth. Okay, so prerequisites: you have to have passed English 100 with at least a C. There will be 3 major essays in here. You will be required to do some reading. That reading will be the source material that I give to you. By the way, you won't have to come up with any source material of your own through this course, but it would be advantageous to you if you do. But you will have to use some of the source material that I link you to, and that will be what we'll call the main sources for our essays. You don't understand what I'm saying now? Take a breath. You'll be okay, because you'll understand it very quickly. It's not a big deal. Excuse me. Okay. We'll be using Canvas throughout this course. I'll post all the assignments by Friday every week for the next week, and I will post all the handouts, announcements, etc., along with the assignments. So you won't have to go looking for anything. Here's a rough sample of the course schedule. Please understand that this is just a rough schedule. It's meant to give me at least an understanding that we'll make it by the end of the semester. I might have to do some adjustments in there, and there are obviously some holidays within our semester, so we'll have to make accommodations for that. Okay. Late work, unless I tell you otherwise, everything's due on time. Late work is accepted, but will drop 1 whole grade for every 2 days it's late. So if a paper is due on Tuesday and you give it to me Thursday, Your A paper is now a B, or your B paper is now a C, or your C paper is now a D. And it's not going to be discussed. It's not going to be open for negotiation. It's got to be on time. And I'm going to be very strict on that. I'm not strict on too many things. On time assignments is one of them. Okay. So all email communications between you and I must go through your LMC email address. Do not use your home email address. Do not use your Gmail account or anything like that. Everything has to come from your LMC email address. Now, that goes both ways. Anytime I send anything to you, it will go only to your LMC address. And there's a reason for all of this. First of all, the biggest reason is that we have to protect your privacy. I will not discuss your grades or your successes with anybody else. And so to make sure that that doesn't happen, I'm sending it only to the email that I am secure in the knowledge that it's you I'm communicating with. So that also has a real big implication when we're talking about me trying to get hold of you for something critically important. I've had situations arise in the past where students were really behind in their work, and I felt that they were more capable than they were demonstrating, and I was going to give them a huge opportunity to turn it back and get it better and fix the problem. And since I couldn't get in touch with them, they never were able to take advantage of that opportunity, and so they didn't pass the grade. And that's just because of email. So if I send something to your email, I have to understand that you're going to be reading it. You're going to check your LMC email on a regular basis, and I suggest at least twice a day, at least. You can forward your LMC email. That's an easy thing to do to your phone or to another email address. But if you do that, make sure that when you reply back to me, you don't just reply from your email address that it was forwarded to. Make sure you go on to Canvas and reply from there. There will be a number of quizzes. They're not going to be a lot of points. They're just for me to understand that you're getting what I'm trying to tell you. Plagiarism, that's a no-no. And I've never had a student thrown out of school for plagiarism or fail a course for plagiarism, but here's what I've done. I've had students who have been not so good at hiding their plagiarism. And just by the way, so you know, what plagiarism is very simply taking somebody else's work and claiming it as your own. And the way you do that is either intentional, where you just copy somebody's stuff and put it on your paper, or unintentional, when you don't give citation to the original author of something. That is plagiarism. So make sure that you give credit where credit is due all the time. So here's what I've done. I've taken people's papers and I looked at them, and it was quite obvious that it was plagiarized, and I was able to locate it somewhere else. And I went to the student and I said, okay, here's what I've got for you. I know that this is plagiarized. I know where this came from. And I show them. And generally speaking, they know that they've been caught. And I don't want to embarrass anybody, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say to you, what you get to do is to rewrite your entire essay completely, and you get to write me an additional essay that talks about, in 5 pages or more, why you shouldn't plagiarize. Don't do that and you fail that grade. You fail that particular essay. So it's a pretty tough punishment, I know, but you know what? This is all about doing your own work. This is all about learning. It's not about learning to copy from somebody else. So, and I know most of you won't do that. I know that the only people that generally do that are people that are like really crunched, really don't have any time, don't have any options, and they want to get this work done, so they might do something that they think they might get away with. Guess what? It doesn't always happen. So please be careful. Before you do it, think about it. If you have a time crunch, you have work problems, or you have somebody sick at home, or you have children perhaps that you need to take care of, and something's delaying your ability to do the work, talk to me. Let's work something out, okay? let's do that. All right. This is a transfer level course. English 221 transfers to the UC, CSU, Gen Ed Area A3, and IGETC Area 1B, which means you get credit for critical thinking and advanced composition. So those two things are knocked out of the park with one class. So this is a good class for you to do if you're going to be transferring. Okay, these are the dates that you need to be concerned with, and they're very important dates. The last one that I want you to take note of is this last day to drop with a W, 423. If I can't drop you after that date, so if you just don't show up for the class for 3, 4, 5 weeks, or you don't turn any work in, that's the same thing as not showing up for the class. I can't even drop you to save you from getting a 0. So, you know, what I'll do is I'll fire off a couple emails to let you know you're in jeopardy. But if you don't check your email, guess what? So it's really important that you stick around and you do your work on time and be there. I will tell you also that people who do not turn in their work the first week will be dropped. Flat out. So you have to start right off the bat getting everything done. This is the syllabus. This is the end of it. If you have any questions, my email is jharper@losmedanos.edu. Please fire off an email to me. I really look forward to this, and I'm going to be meeting you online. I'll put together a little video so you'll know who I am and what I look like. Take care. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.